Emily Carter thought skipping Thanksgiving was harmless, a small break from her family's never-ending traditions. But she couldn't have known that one choice would uncover secrets her parents had buried for decades. As she stepped away from the familiar, she found herself trapped in a world of hidden legacies, mysterious figures, and a danger that threatened everything she loved. Tonight on Family Feud Files, we bring you a story of rebellion, betrayal, and a family secret that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Get ready? Because Emily's decision to skip Thanksgiving would change her life and her family forever. Enjoying the suspense? Don't miss out on more shocking family secrets. Subscribe to Family Feud Files and hit the bell icon so you're the first to see our next story of betrayal, revenge, and hidden legacies. My name is Emily Carter, and I never thought one holiday could change the entire course of my family's life. Growing up, my parents were obsessed with tradition, especially Thanksgiving. Every year, we hosted an elaborate dinner with all the relatives, cousins, and friends. This year, however, something felt different. The tension in the air was almost tangible. But I never imagined how badly things would spiral out of control. Thanksgiving morning started like any other, with the aroma of pumpkin pies and roasted turkey filling our house. I had been secretly planning a small trip with my boyfriend, Jake, to escape the chaos of my parents' expectations. I knew they wouldn't approve, especially my mother, who prided herself on making every holiday picture perfect. Yet, the idea of skipping this year's gathering, even just for a day, felt liberating. I casually mentioned it at breakfast, expecting some resistance. But my parents' reaction shocked me. My mother slammed her fork down, her eyes narrowing. "Emily, skipping Thanksgiving? After all the preparations? That's unacceptable." My father, usually more subdued, added, "This is a family tradition. You can't just abandon it." The tension escalated quickly. I tried to reason with them, explaining that I just needed a break, that I would make it up to them later. But they weren't having it. My mother's voice grew sharp. "If you skip this, you're proving that you don't care about your family." I paused, feeling a pang of guilt. But deep down, I knew my decision wouldn't ruin our family forever, at least, I thought. I hugged my parents, assuring them I would be home for dinner, and quietly slipped out the door. Jake was waiting with his car outside. "Are you sure about this?" he asked, gripping the steering wheel like he could sense the storm that awaited us. I nodded, trying to suppress the unease creeping up my spine. We drove off, the city streets quiet in the early morning chill. And for a while, I felt free. That freedom didn't last long. By mid-afternoon, my phone started blowing up. Messages, calls, and even frantic texts from extended family. "Where are you? Your parents are worried sick. Thanksgiving starts in an hour." Ignoring the warnings, I continued with our plan. We went hiking, laughed, and shared our little escape, completely oblivious to the storm brewing back home. It wasn't until the evening, when I casually checked my social media, that I realized the scale of what I had triggered. Pictures from my family's Thanksgiving were everywhere, my parents standing stiffly, my relatives exchanging concerned glances, and worst of all, my little sister crying in the background. The captions ranged from subtle guilt trips to outright frustration. "Emily's too busy for family. Tradition doesn't matter to some people." A sinking feeling hit me. I had thought I was just taking a small break. But the ripple effect was bigger than I imagined. Little did I know, what started as a simple decision to skip Thanksgiving would soon spiral into chaos that no apology could fix. By the time we returned home that night, the front door was locked. My parents weren't answering calls. The neighborhood lights revealed cars parked strangely outside our house, and I caught a glimpse of shadows moving inside. Something wasn't right. I tried the doorbell again and again, but it was useless. My mother's favorite neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, appeared at the corner of our street, eyes wide with panic. "Emily, your parents? They said you wouldn't be here, but it's terrible," she stammered. "What happened?" I asked, my voice trembling. Mrs. Patterson shook her head. "I can't explain now. You need to see for yourself." I felt a chill crawl down my spine. The freedom I had felt earlier had vanished completely. I wasn't sure if this was about Thanksgiving anymore, or something far more sinister. That night, I realized my small act of rebellion had awakened forces I couldn't yet understand. And as I stood outside, staring at the locked door, I knew one thing for certain: my parents' regret was only beginning, and the consequences of my choice would be far bigger than anyone could imagine. Emily's simple decision to skip Thanksgiving had ignited a chain of events that would not only shake her family but also uncover secrets long buried. The night held more than just disappointment, it held suspense, fear, and a revelation that would change everything. When I finally managed to get inside, my house was eerily quiet. The familiar warmth of our living room had vanished, replaced by a chilling emptiness that made my skin crawl. Chairs were overturned, dishes scattered across the floor, and my parents were nowhere to be seen. My heart pounded as I called out, "Mom? Dad?" There was no answer, only the echo of my own voice. I noticed my little sister, Lily, huddled on the sofa, clutching a blanket, her eyes red from crying. "Emily," she whispered, trembling. They disappeared after lunch. I don't know where they went." My stomach twisted. Disappeared? My mind raced through all the possibilities. From a prank gone wrong to something far more dangerous. I had thought skipping Thanksgiving was a minor rebellion, but now it seemed to have triggered something much worse. Frantically, I searched the house for clues. On the kitchen counter, I found my father's phone lying abandoned, and my mother's purse open, its contents spilled across the granite. Then I noticed a folded note tucked under the mail. Hands shaking, I picked it up and read the words written in my mother's careful handwriting. "Emily, we never wanted you to see this, but you need to know the truth about our family. Come to the old cabin at Pine Ridge. Everything depends on it." Pine Ridge. My mind went blank for a moment. That cabin had been locked and forgotten for years. A place my parents always avoided mentioning. I felt a shiver run down my spine. What secrets had they hidden there all these years? I knew I had no choice. If my parents were in trouble, or if something far more sinister was unfolding, I had to find out. I grabbed my jacket, threw a bag over my shoulder, and headed to the car. Jake insisted on coming with me, his face a mix of worry and determination. "We're in this together," he said, holding my hand tightly. The drive to Pine Ridge felt endless. The city lights faded, replaced by the dense darkness of the forest roads. Every rustle in the trees made me flinch, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. My thoughts kept returning to the note. Everything depends on it. What could be so important that my parents risked their lives or disappeared entirely over it? As we reached the cabin, my breath caught in my throat. The front door was slightly ajar, swaying gently in the cold wind. I stepped forward cautiously, Jake right behind me. Inside, the cabin was even more unsettling than our home had been. Dust covered the furniture, and strange symbols were drawn on the walls in what looked like charcoal. Then I saw them. My parents, tied to chairs in the center of the room, looking terrified. My mother's eyes widened as she saw me. "Emily, thank God," she cried, her voice breaking. "You shouldn't have come, but you're the only one who can fix this." Before I could respond, a shadow moved near the cabin's entrance. A tall figure stepped into the dim light, face hidden under a hood. "So, the little rebel finally shows up," the figure said, voice cold and menacing. "Did you really think skipping Thanksgiving would let you escape your family's legacy?" I froze. Legacy? My parents had never spoken about any secret legacy. Suddenly, the picture became horrifyingly clear. Our family's history, our traditions, even the conflict over Thanksgiving, was just the surface of something far deeper. "Who are you? What do you want?" I demanded, trying to sound braver than I felt. The figure laughed softly. "Everything your parents have hidden, everything they tried to protect, is coming to light tonight. And you, Emily, are the key to it all." I glanced at my parents, who gave me a look of silent pleading. My father whispered, "You have to be strong. They've been waiting for this moment and so have you." Jake squeezed my hand. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together," he said. My mind raced. What had my family been hiding for so long? And why did my simple choice to skip Thanksgiving seem to have triggered this nightmare? Suddenly, the figure lunged forward, and the cabin erupted into chaos. I realized that survival wasn't just about escaping. It was about uncovering the truth and protecting my family from forces I had never imagined existed. Emily had uncovered the first layer of her family's hidden secrets, but the danger was far from over. As the hooded figure advanced, she realized that her parents' warnings were more than just tradition, they were a shield against something far darker. The next step would take her deeper into the mystery, forcing her to confront truths that could change everything she believed about her family. My heart was hammering as the hooded figure circled us in the dim light of the cabin. I glanced at my parents again. My mother's eyes were wide with fear, my father's jaw tight with determination. The tension was suffocating. I realized that whatever this figure wanted, it wasn't just about a simple family feud. There was something much older, much deeper. The figure spoke, voice cold and deliberate. "Your parents thought they could protect you from the truth. They were wrong. The legacy of the Carters is yours now, Emily, whether you like it or not." I froze. Legacy? Me? I had always believed our family's only legacy was our yearly Thanksgiving traditions and minor old money squabbles. But suddenly, everything seemed like a carefully constructed lie. "Legacy of what?" I demanded, trying to sound braver than I felt. The figure pulled back the hood. The dim cabin light revealed a face I recognized instantly, Mr. Hawthorne. A distant cousin my parents had never spoken about. His eyes glinted with malice, yet there was a twisted admiration in them. The family's secret, our wealth, the old alliances. The things your parents buried decades ago. You were meant to inherit, to continue the line. But you strayed. Skipped the traditions. Disrespected the order. I shook my head in disbelief. I just skipped Thanksgiving. That has nothing to do with everything, he interrupted sharply. The traditions are not just dinners and pies. They are tests. And you failed the first one. Jake grabbed my arm. Emily, what is he talking about? I didn't know. But the intensity of his words left no room for doubt. There was a hidden network. A secret my parents had been guarding my entire life. And somehow, by skipping one holiday, I had triggered events they had tried to prevent. My mother's voice quivered as she spoke. Emily, you have to listen. The Carter's legacy isn't just wealth, it's a responsibility. Every choice, every act it determines who will survive in the family. The figure smirked. Time is short. You must prove yourself, or the Carter line ends tonight. Panic surged through me. I realized that escaping the cabin wasn't enough. I needed to understand this hidden legacy if we were going to survive. How do I prove myself? I asked, desperation in my voice. The figure extended a small, old wooden box. Its surface was engraved with symbols I didn't recognize. Inside this box is a key to your family's power. It's been locked for generations, and only you can open it. But beware. The tests are dangerous, and not everyone survives. I reached for the box, my hands shaking. The weight of responsibility pressed down on me like a physical force. Suddenly, a noise from the cabin's far corner drew my attention, a faint creak, followed by whispers. Shadows moved along the walls. My father whispered urgently, Emily, hurry. They're coming. Before I could process what he meant, a second figure appeared. This one even taller and wearing a mask that reflected the flickering candlelight. It lunged toward us. I instinctively grabbed the box and swung it, narrowly hitting the intruder. Chaos erupted, the air filled with shouts, the sound of scuffling feet, and the crashing of furniture. Jake held me close, trying to shield me as I clutched the box tightly. My mother's eyes were locked on me, her expression both terrified and hopeful. Emily, the family depends on you. Open it, now. I didn't know if I could. The weight of generations, the secret legacy, and the lives of my family pressed on me all at once. My hands trembled as I opened the box. Inside, a collection of letters, keys, and small artifacts glimmered in the candlelight. Each piece seemed to hum with an unspoken energy, a puzzle waiting to be solved. Suddenly, the masked figure lunged again. I grabbed one of the artifacts, a small medallion, and the room erupted in a blinding flash of light. The attackers shrieked and recoiled, giving us a moment of breathing space. In that instant, I realized, this wasn't just about skipping Thanksgiving. This was about my ability to step into a role I had never imagined. To inherit a power and responsibility I had never wanted, but that could now decide my family's fate. Emily had discovered the true depth of her family's secrets. And the first test had begun. The artifacts in the wooden box were more than objects, they were the keys to survival. And the next steps would demand courage, intelligence, and strength she wasn't sure she had. As the masked figures regrouped, the real journey into the Carter legacy had only just begun. Holding the wooden box tightly, I felt the weight of everything my parents had been protecting for decades. Jake kept close to my side, his eyes darting around the cabin, ready to react at a moment's notice. My parents whispered urgently, guiding me toward the center of the room where the artifacts glimmered in candlelight. I realized that each piece in the box represented a challenge, a trial I had to complete to prove myself worthy of the Carter legacy. The first artifact I picked up was a small, ornate key. It felt unusually warm in my hand, almost as if it were alive. My father's voice was steady, yet filled with urgency. This key unlocks the first part of your family's truth. You must follow the path it reveals, Emily. But beware, the path is not just physical. It tests your mind, your courage, and your loyalty. I took a deep breath and held the key against the nearby wall. To my shock, a hidden panel slid open silently, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness. The air that escaped carried a cold, metallic scent. My heart raced, but I knew I couldn't hesitate. My parents had entrusted me with something far bigger than any Thanksgiving tradition they had entrusted me with the survival of our family's secrets. Jake grasped my hand tightly. We're going together, he said, his voice resolute. I nodded, trying to push down the fear creeping into my chest. We stepped onto the stairs, each step creaking beneath our weight, and descended into the unknown. At the bottom, we found ourselves in a dimly lit chamber filled with ancient texts, strange symbols etched into the stone walls, And more artifacts like the ones in the wooden box. The air was thick with mystery and danger. A voice echoed through the chamber. Soft but chilling, only those with courage and clarity of mind may proceed. Fail, and the legacy ends here. I looked at Jake, whose hand never left mine. And then at my parents, whose faces were pale but full of silent encouragement. I realized that these trials weren't just tests, they were lessons. Designed to prepare me for responsibilities I had never imagined. The first trial appeared simple at first. A puzzle of letters and symbols that seemed almost impossible to decipher. As I studied the patterns, I realized they weren't random, they represented the history of our family. The alliances and betrayals hidden from the outside world. Every letter, every symbol, told a story. I felt as if I could hear whispers of past generations guiding me. Hours passed. My mind ached, but slowly, patterns began to emerge. I traced the symbols carefully, aligning them in the correct sequence. When the final piece clicked into place, a hidden drawer opened, revealing a small, ancient medallion glowing faintly. The voice in the chamber spoke again, courage recognized. Step forward. Just as relief washed over me, the room shook violently. Shadows emerged from the corners of the chamber, masked figures. More numerous than before, closing in with frightening precision. My parents shouted warnings. And I realized that completing the trial didn't mean the danger had ended. It had only intensified. Held the medallion tightly, its warmth spreading through my palm. Suddenly, it pulsed with light, creating a protective barrier that forced the shadows to retreat momentarily. This is incredible, Jake breathed, his eyes wide. It's reacting to you. I nodded, understanding for the first time that the Carter legacy wasn't just about wealth or tradition. It was about responsibility, power, and the ability to protect what mattered most. Every choice I made from this moment onward would determine not only my family's survival, but also my own place in a lineage I had never fully understood. As we prepared for the next trial, a deep realization settled in. Thanksgiving had been the spark, but the true journey had just begun. My parents' warnings, their insistence on tradition, and even their anger at my rebellion, it all made sense now. They had been trying to prepare me for this moment, and now there was no turning back. Emily had completed the first trial, uncovering part of the Carter family's hidden legacy. Yet with each victory, the stakes rose higher. The masked figures weren't finished, and the next challenges promised dangers far beyond anything she had faced. The journey into her family's secrets was accelerating, and failure was no longer an option. The glow of the medallion in my hand illuminated the dark chamber as I faced the final trial. Jake stood beside me, steady and reassuring, while my parents watched with silent hope from a safe distance. The masked figures had retreated into the shadows, but I could feel their presence, waiting for any misstep. This was the moment I had been preparing for without even realizing it, my final test. The culmination of the Carter legacy. A sudden, low hum filled the room. The walls seemed to shift, revealing a series of locked doors, each marked with an intricate symbol. The voice echoed again, calm yet menacing. Only the one who understands the true meaning of family may pass. Choose wisely, or all will be lost. I realized then that the choice wasn't just about courage or intellect. It was about heart, about the bond between my parents, my sister, Jake, and me. Each door represented a path, one leading to power, one to wealth, and one to unity. Only by choosing the path that honored family could I succeed. With a deep breath, I placed the medallion against the door that resonated most strongly with warmth and love. The door clicked open, revealing a hidden chamber filled with ancient manuscripts, heirlooms, and a glowing family crest suspended in the air. The light from the crest bathed the room in golden radiance, and I felt a surge of clarity and strength unlike anything I had ever known. The masked figures surged forward one last time, but as I held the medallion high, a protective barrier erupted around us. They recoiled, unable to penetrate the glow. It was as if the legacy itself recognized me as its rightful heir, responding to my understanding, my loyalty, and my courage. My parents ran to me, tears streaming down their faces. "Emily," my father whispered, his voice choked with emotion. "You've done what we never thought possible. You've embraced the Carter legacy." The remaining shadows retreated completely, leaving the chamber in silence. I realized that the trials were not meant to punish but to awaken me to teach me the value of family, responsibility, and unity. The decisions I had made, even skipping Thanksgiving, had tested my judgment and strength. And now, I had passed. As we returned to the cabin, the morning light broke through the trees, casting warmth over our faces. The tension of the past hours lifted, replaced by a sense of peace I had never known. My little sister ran to hug me, and Jake held me close, his eyes full of admiration. My mother smiled, finally allowing herself to relax. "We were worried, Emily," she said softly. But you've proven yourself. More than we could have imagined. I looked around at my family. The weight of the legacy now settled on my shoulders, not as a burden, but as a responsibility I was proud to carry. Skipping Thanksgiving had been a small rebellion, but it had led me to a greater understanding of who we were, what we protected, and the strength of our bonds. That day, our family celebrated Thanksgiving like never before, not with forced tradition, but with genuine gratitude and unity. The legacy of the Carters was alive, stronger than ever, and I had earned my place within it. Emily had faced her fears, unraveled her family's hidden legacy, and emerged stronger, wiser, and more united with her loved ones. What started as a small decision to skip Thanksgiving had evolved into a journey of courage, revelation, and empowerment. The Carter family would never be the same, and Emily's place in their history was finally secured. If you love this story and want more shocking family secrets, make sure to subscribe to Family Feud Files and hit the bell icon. New suspenseful stories drop every week, revealing betrayals, revenge, and family legacies you won't believe. Don't miss the next twist in the drama.